Hello there, this is Alex, welcome to Boomstick Gaming, and I want to talk about the newly added Explore mode just patched into the brutally challenging action-adventure, Below. This new way to play fundamentally changes, and in my opinion improves, the overall progression and pacing of the game. Below also just released on the PlayStation 4, which is perfect timing for a total revamp like this. If you're unfamiliar with Below, imagine a more brooding, hardcore version of a top-down Zelda game with a slightly less reliance on puzzles, but with all the more cuttable grass you could ever really want. Below initially launched on PC and Xbox One to mixed reviews in December of 2018, since the rogue-like and survival-style elements somewhat hindered the fun factor more than they helped, at least in my opinion. The just added Explore mode aims to rectify some of those issues, however, and I wouldn't necessarily call it an easy mode per se because the game is still incredibly hard, and instead I would actually call Explore more like proper pacing mode. Pacing is something not discussed too much in gaming, and usually its big brother general difficulty curve claims all the fame, but I would argue that pacing can also entirely make or break an entire experience. Let's take Super Meat Boy for example, quite a challenging platformer in the grand scheme of things, but it feels doable to a broad range of players thanks to how snappy you can quickly reattempt a level where you're back and playing within a second, and usually back to where you died within 4 or 5. Now consider that exact same game in every regard, but with a 30-second load time in between each and every death, and you have now completely ruined much of the entire experience thanks to pacing, without changing a single element to the gameplay or level design. Now back to Below, which at launch somewhat suffered from a similar issue, but I'm here to report that Explore mode is now definitely a far more fair experience, while still keeping the tense demanding challenge of Below completely intact. Let's now delve deeper in and take a look at what exactly has changed in this update as we reevaluate the state of Below now in 2020. First off in Explore mode, the death mechanic still kicks you out of your current dungeon, restarting you back on that intro beach, which requires you to backtrack to your corpse to claim your stuff. Nothing too different from the base game quite yet. What has changed, however, is how the bonfire checkpoint mechanic works, which is one of the 2 ways of progressing through the game outside of the general environmental shortcuts you'll unlock along the way. To make a bonfire your one active save spot that you can teleport back to after death, you have to spend some of your gained currency in order to do so. In the base game, now dubbed Survival Mode, these would need to be reactivated each and every time you used them, so say you died mid-dungeon, restarted, fought back to where you were to try to claim your body which had all your currency on it, but died before you could reignite that bonfire with said currency, too bad, you're out of luck, start completely over at the beach with only your unlocked shortcuts being your only option now. This could easily tack on 10 to 30 minutes of a slog to backtrack to where you were, and since the game is already pretty slow and methodical by design, this extra layer of slow was sometimes a little much. In Explore mode now, however, a very smart change, your bonfire will now stay active even after use and death, so as long as you make it to one with enough currency to turn it blue, you have now made permanent game progress that no one can take from you even after death repeatedly over and over. This change alone greatly decreases the slower, repetitive pace of going back through areas you've already completed when you happen to die, and you definitely will. Another big change is how damage works in Explore mode, where every hit is now treated like bleed damage, where your health will slowly trickle down after a hit, allowing for you to cure yourself with bandages if you're quick before the damage actually becomes entirely permanent. This puts a huge focus on coveting and crafting those bandages, but a good old-fashioned cooked soup will also help with keeping your health topped off, giving you 2 reliable ways to stay healthy. There is also no longer a hunger and thirst reliance in Explore, which I feel didn't add much to the base game anyways, but the things that did impact gameplay, like the temperature and darkness elements, are still entirely intact. I would still peg Explore mode at a very hard difficulty compared to the average video game, and Survival should now be considered an optional ultra challenging mode for those who have completed Explore and want to take their skills onto the next level. Those are my overall thoughts on the state of Below in 2020 after the Explore mode update, and if you're going to return to reconsider the game now, or you're just jumping in for the first time, make sure to let me know what you think after you give it a fair try. The game is a really slow burn, and I wouldn't say it fully clicks into place for most players really within the first hour or two, so I recommend sticking with it at least up until that point to really find that slow, tense groove that it really wants you in. Now, if you happen to enjoy my style of gaming content, consider subscribing to Boomstick Gaming for more, ringing that little bell icon if you already are, and you can also find me on Twitter at BoomstickAlex. Lastly, a special mention to the top tier YouTube members and patrons you're seeing on screen who really help to keep this individually owned and operated channel going. As always, this has been Alex from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for watching.